G'day gamers, Ranger Tony here with another SOLISTA Crown of the Magister build video. Today I'm going to show you the only feasible fighter build. So if you've seen my The Ranger Makes a Better Fighter Than the Fighter video, you will know that it's my opinion that the Ranger has more advantages as far as the abilities to do damage than a fighter does. The Ranger has a feature of part of the Hunter subclass, which allows them, called Colossus Strike, or I think it is, which allows them to do an extra 1d8 of damage once per turn to any creature whose health is not at 100%. So even if they've lost one hit point, you can hit them and do an extra 1d8 point of damage. And on top of that, they have the ability to, with their Hunter's Mark spell, the ability to mark a target and do an extra 1d6 points of damage every time they hit it. This means that the Ranger, in certain situations, can be consistently doing way more damage than any other class, including rogues, who have to, get into position to do a sneak attack, whereas this Colossus Slayer ability is available on any creature that has lost even a single hit point, and if they can keep their marked target down, they get the extra 1d6 from that as well. We looked at the fighter and we saw that there is actually no feats, no special abilities, no archetypes, nothing that allows the fighter to do extra damage. The two-handed weapon fighter fighting style that you can choose does allow you to re-roll damage if your damage is very low, but it actually doesn't guarantee that you're going to do more damage. It doesn't put a bonus on damage, it just allows you to re-roll some of the damage, and if the roll ends up as bad or worse than it was previously, you take the new roll. You don't get to keep rolling until you get a good result. So, what is the only use for a fighter then, apart from a pack mule, in SOLISTA Crown of the Magister? Well, it comes down to one of the older sort of things that people use fighters for, the tank. There is one subclass of fighter that excels at being a tank. And so you can build a fighter to basically be your damage soak. And I'm going to show you that build right now. So which race works the best for this? Well, in early access, it has to be the Hill Dwarf. Or the Snow Dwarf. Either of the dwarves work well because they get a +2 to Constitution. Okay? There's no real appreciable difference. The Snow Dwarf has a minor advantage in that they have Dexterity, and you are going to want a couple of Dexterity bonus points. So we're going to go with Snow Dwarf for this. The the general Dwarven resistance to poison is also helping you as a tank, because it means the poison is less likely to take you down. You're able to stay up longer, so that's going to work well. So we want to be a fighter. Now, you're going to start the game with chainmail heavy armor. You're going to want to try and get the best armor that you can as quickly as you can. That's just the way it is. You cannot choose anything but the... so the chainmail can't use a dexterity bonus, and I'm not sure if there is any armor in SOLISTA Crown of the Magister that does... any heavy armors that do allow a dexterity bonus, but if they do, traditionally they don't allow more than about 2 points of dexterity bonus. So that's what we're going to go for. Weapon, we're going to go a weapon and shield. It doesn't matter the weapon. I'm going to pick battle axe here, but if you want my opinion, the better weapon is actually probably Warhammer. And my reasoning for this is as follows. Every martial character, when they start the game, starts off with a missile weapon of some sort, which is usually a light crossbow or a short bow or a long bow. All right. Now you can switch to hand axe, which is also a potential throwing weapon, and it does slashing damage. But all of the other bows do piercing damage. Okay. Now, if there are any opponents in the game that are invulnerable to piercing damage, then your piercing weapons are not going to be any good. Most of the melee weapons are either slashing or piercing. There's only a couple of melee weapons that I've seen so far in SOLISTA that are bludgeoning weapons. And so I feel it is good to have at least one member of your party that has a bludgeoning weapon, and the Warhammer is the best of the bludgeoning weapons available. So we're going to take a Warhammer and shield. We definitely want the shield because that's what is part of this build. It is definitely a tank, and you need that shield to increase your armor class. So we'll validate that and we'll move on. The background that you choose will have in no way any effect whatsoever in this. So I will pick my default sellsword that I do for any melee class. And let's get a slightly better roll than that if we can. Can I get one that doesn't have something below 10? That's not great, but it's good enough for now. So we're going to put 16 in strength and 16 in con. We're going to go 14 there in dex, making it 15, but that gives us a +2, which is the maximum or the minimum that we want. And then we'll go 12, 11, and 10. And that's a pretty good. So the strength there is how good we are going to be able to hit with our weapon and how much extra damage we're going to do. But ultimately, we're not worried that we're doing damage with our weapon. We want the constitution as high as possible to give us as many hit points as possible. And the dexterity will give us a little bit of bonus to save throws, but also potentially to armor class later if we can find a heavy armor that does allow some dexterity bonuses. Which of these, now you might be thinking we're going to pick defense, but we're not. We're actually going to pick protection, so that when a creature that I see attacks another creature, another target other than me, and that creature is within 5 feet of me, I can use my reaction to oppose disadvantage on their attack roll. So I must be using a shield for that. So this is only a feat that only the fighter gets, I believe. It allows us to impose disadvantage on an opponent that is near to us and attacking somebody else. And that's what a tank does, is they get in the way of other, they help protect other people in the party. Your skills here are really not going to have much effect, but I will take acrobatics because that might be useful. It doesn't say that it helps with armor class or anything like that. And I will take survival because I think it's useful. We have one language. We'll take giant and move on. None of those really affect the build of this, nor does your appearance. So yeah, Forfey will do, and we will move on. So let's level up Forfey, our dwarf. He gets action surge at level 2, which is fine, but it doesn't help us a huge amount. Now we get to pick our martial archetype. And here we are going to choose Mountaineer, the only one that is really useful out of any of these archetypes. Sure, Spellblade is great if you're role-playing and you want to throw some spells around as well, but it doesn't help you do damage. It doesn't, some of the spells might help you be protected a little bit. Champion, all it does is give you better crit range. That's it. It seems like an absolute waste at this point in time unless it changes, but in early access, that's all it does. So we're going to take Mountaineer. This allows you to shove. You get an advantage when you do a shove with a shield. And when you're fighting in an environment where there is a wall on one of the sides of you, you gain a +2 to your armor class. So you You're getting extra protection from that wall being there. So again, as a tank, that helps you stay alive so that you can keep fighting and keep protecting the group. Now, we could take an ability score or we could take a feat. Let's have a look at the feats. So, which of these feats are going to be useful? Well, actually, there's a few of them that could be useful. I recommend anything that's going to increase your hit points, increase your armor class, things like that. The ones that are useful is hard to kill. This one says basically that if you do get knocked down, if you do get to 0 hit points, which makes you unconscious, you have an advantage on your death saving throws, and if you succeed your saving throws 3 times, you not only get stabilized, but you can regain 1 hit point immediately, and on a critical roll, you regain 2 hit dice instead. So you actually gain hit points if you stabilize, which you don't normally do. So that's really useful, as is Enduring Body. But I think at this point, you could take these right now if you wanted to, but I think at this point we're going to go back and we're going to take the ability score so that we can get our Constitution up to 20. And that's all we want to do with ability scores. Is once your Constitution's at 20, then you can start taking feats. Okay? So, our proficiency has gone to +3, meaning we're now at +6 to hit. And we do a little bit more, we don't do a little bit more damage, but we've also got 2 attacks per round now, which is nice, but ultimately we're not worried too much about our attacks and how much damage we can do. We're there to soak up damage to help protect the team. So this time, rather than take an ability score, we're going to take a bonus feat. And we're going to take Enduring Body, which gives us an extra hit point per level. Yes. The only other one that you would want to take, so hard to kill, Enduring Body, and the only other one that's really useful is Armor Master, which just gives you an extra +1 to your armor class. For no reason, then it just does. Alright? So we're going to take Enduring Body first. We're not going to be able to take the Armor Master. We're going to have to just take Enduring Body and the other one because we had to bump up our Constitution. We get 3 of these, so we'll get 1 more in a couple of levels. So we get nothing at level 7. And level 8, we get 1 more ability point increase. We'll switch that for feats, and we will go hard to kill. And that's basically it, but we will continue to level 10, just to do that. We don't get any more abilities as a fighter, at least in early access. That may change, but at the moment, that's all we get. Okay, so at the end of level 10, let's have a look at our character. So we have an armor class of 18, which could potentially be higher if we can get some different heavy armor, particularly one that allows us to use our dexterity bonus. We have a shield and a warhammer, and with that shield we can we get advantage to shoving, and we can use that shield to apply disadvantage to an opponent that's close to us but attacking somebody else as a reaction, and we can also get a bonus to our armor class when we're up against a wall. So we have a lot of hit points, 124 hit points at this point. So we are doing really well. Yeah, this is, in my opinion, the only viable fighter in SOLISTA Crown of the Magister. If you want to do any other fighter build, I recommend doing it as a ranger instead, because you will get better abilities, you will get the ability to do more damage. See my videos on that for more information. But otherwise, if you want a tank, pick the ranger. Thanks for joining me. Any comments, leave them down below, and I will see you for the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.